yesterday we finished. We laid down the foundation groundwork for this, and functionally it was working. But I really didn't like the code, and I since then I've been refactoring all morning, and it got to a state where I started liking the code. So I wanted to show you what I had done, the changes I've made, and just the final bit of cleanup, and just show you what the feature in this final state looks like. So the main, well, let's kind of drill in here. Let's go. We'll start to we'll go all the way down in here to this low-level piece. This is the piece that we created at the very beginning. This format item position, and initially consisted of just an offset and a link. I decided that I wanted each of the format item positions. Roy, by the way, are you with us?
I am indeed, Mark. Yes.
It's good to hear your voice. I just like blah blah blah. Oh, my co-host Rory. Welcome.
Be gone.
So yeah, you can jump in any time. What Mark means to say is that I'm the co-host, and there you go. So so
just before you go on, then, if you're going to let me do that, quick reminder to everyone what this plugin was originally for, because there are some perhaps joining us who weren't here in part one.
I've got it running right now. I can show it to you.
Excellent stuff.
So here's the plugin running. One of the things it allows us to do is you can put the caret on any of these identifier, these format items, and hit the tab key, and then you'll tab right to the corresponding piece. And I'm just hitting the tab key. Also, if it shows up more than once, like here, I've got hello and the person's name showing up multiple times, and there you can see it's all linked up.
Excellent stuff.
That's feature number one. Feature number two. This is the killer. This is the awesome killer, because what it does is it takes something that's really hard to discover and work with and makes it easy to discover. Just hit the CodeRush refactor key on one of the format items. You choose format item below.
Yep.
And you get this baby right here. Notice, by the way, so one of the things I did, the wiring pieces that I did, we were on number 3. Today's date is, and that's a date time. And notice it selected the expression type of date time, so all the date time options are here for us.
So it's effectively gone and calculated the argument that's going to fill the third, or the third token there, and derived its type, and then gone in and set this screen up appropriately.
Right, and the code to do that, by the way, I'm over here. Let's drop a marker. We'll come back, but I just want to show you the code for doing that. Is right here. So so we're going in. We check that argument, the corresponding argument. Yep. We check to see if it's a primitive expression. If it is a primitive expression, then we just go in and we're just going to see what the type is of that primitive expression, because we already have that. So is it a single, a decimal, etc.? Wait, hold on a second.
Because a primitive expression carries its type with it already. There's no need to go off and find it from elsewhere.
Yeah, I was just noticing this code is absolutely wrong here. Why is that? It looks like I accidentally made a mistake here. So we'll fix that. We'll set a breakpoint on this piece right here and fix that. Yes, the answer is yes. But if it's not, then we go to the argument we call resolve, and I'm just checking the name of it. Is it date time? Is it double, single? Is it string? I've got a breakpoint here if it's not any of these. So I can. So
that's a more complicated expression. So maybe a variable or a couple of variables added together, or indeed a couple of literals added together.
Exactly. So we could do something like that. Like, for example, we could do, well, here we have score, but we could come in and we could say, we could typecast that to an int and call, like, for example, math.ceiling on it, on score. And then now when we're, for the score, when we bring that up, whoops. Oh yeah, this is exactly what I want to do. Okay, so now we go in, and what is the type? It's int32. So now we want to say if resolver.name is equal to int32, then the type will be, whoops, integer. So let's say that int32. So put that there. We can probably guess at the others, right? Or that's equal to int 64.
64, yeah. May even have a 16.
Yeah, I think there's a 16 too, isn't there? Okay.
Now the resolve.name that you've got there, is that the internal name representative in the framework? So that it's not going to come back and say integer if you're in Visual Basic, or lowercase string if you're in C#.
Exactly. This is the actual name of the class or struct, whatever the thing is we're looking at. Okay.
Good stuff. Good to know.
All right, and so let's do that one more time. So we'll bring that up because I think I skipped past it. Format item. So now the integer. Oh, wow, why is the integer being selected there? That's interesting. What's your average score is? Comes in at 0. There we go. I hit tab the next reference there. Let's step through and see what's going on. Maybe I made a mistake. Okay. Format item. What is it? Int 32. And so let's, setting it to integer, let's jump in here. Oh shoot, it is, it's a property, so it's not going to dive into it. Let's put back up here. Huh. Maybe it's already checked, and that's what's happening. It's probably already checked, so we're not getting a check changed on it. That's what's happening, I think. So that's kind of an initialization issue with this. I would think the best way to do that is
type twice.
Is to clear it. Yeah, I think I will. I'll just let it run for now, and I'll remember. We'll shut it that other instance down, and we'll fix it. So let me save this. But you can see it is detecting that it is in fact an integer. So you can it's got the cool thing about DX Core is it gives you the same expression evaluation that the actual language does when you run it.
Yeah. So
we use the same rules, and we have a lot of the same test cases that the Visual Studio team uses to ensure that the expression evaluation is working. So let's fix that. Let's go to the whoops, that's not it. This one. Yeah, see, there's the problem right there. So let's turn that check off, and then everything will work. I like that better than anything else, any of the other options. Okay, so back to the code we were looking at. Let's go back to here. So format item position, I added offset and length. Or I'm sorry, that's what we started with. I added parent. And then the other thing I did is inside parent, so if we go to parent, it goes to format item. So if you recall, a format item represents a single number, so it's got that ID there, so it's the the 0 in braces.
Sure, yeah.
And then it's got one or more of its positions right here, and because there could be more than one in it. And then I gave it a parent as well, and its parent is a new class I created, which just stands, remember previously where we were just using this?
Yeah, we had a raw dictionary, didn't we?
Yeah, I just said let's create a descendant of that so I can give it some more methods. So now I've got a method get format item at position. I can pass it a line and an offset in here, or get format item position at position. So I've got these things. And now all of a sudden all those for each loops that I had, I was copying all over the place. They're now in one place. They're nice and clean.
In true style, we've now got the methods applying to the data all wrapped up in a single object.
Yes. And by the way, CodeRush has got a method, extract method 2, I'm sorry, refactoring called extract method 2 that I use to help me get here, to move these methods over here into this class. So now, if we start doing just a tab to next reference through this, you can see our code in format item. Just simply we get the format items on here. Oh, by the way, this in first string argument used to be the get first string argument.
Okay.
And I just said, I wasn't liking that code at all, Rory. It was just like we had all of this, the code was just ugly. Let's put it that way. Now I'm in a much happier place here. So so here's in format item. It's just got this. If you look everywhere, here's get format items, and we go through and get format items. Now I've got a property in there called source file. I can get it right from format items. Format items has got a primitive expression. It's got a parent method call. It's got an argument associated. Wait, what's this? This is confusing to me. Add format item. This is not what I wanted it to be, I think. Sorry for the confusion. I think I added this without paying too much attention to this. This is in format items. Yeah, the argument should not be here. Let's go see who's calling this. Yeah, I think what I did is I added a, all right, so let's do this. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. And let's come in here and add a new parameter and pass that in. And call this argument. And now here's where I want to add that property, right there. Okay. All right, so that's what I wanted. So now a format item has got a corresponding argument associated with it, which can make things easier too. We've got, when we set up the tab to next reference piece, right here, see what we're doing here? We're doing this stuff where we're getting the argument for that. What we could really do instead now is we could come in with that new argument that's being kept there. We should be able to come in here and say ea.addRange dot FormatItem.argument.range, assuming that's not null. If not null. Right there. And I think that should also work.
So what we've done here is we started off with a format item with multiple format positions and a single argument. But now we can get from the format positions and the argument back to any of the other pieces. So it makes for easy navigation between them. And it's very easy to set that up in the first place, relating them all to each other.
Exactly. Let's see what's my problem here. None does not exist. Oh, number. Oops. Oh, look at that argument. All right, so this is a note to devs right there. I used add parameter, and it looks like it mangled the code right there. Can you, Rory, make a note of the time? I want the devs to see that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Build succeeded. Let's run. I've been using that add parameter all morning. It's the first time I've seen it do that. So, let's see what's going on with that. So the thing I was thinking about doing, since we're only like 14 minutes into it, I've essentially been show and tell up to this point. What I was thinking about doing is notice over here in number 3. Well, let's see if the change we just made works. Hit the tab key, tab, yeah, it works. There's the argument. There's proof that it works. We're going over to the argument for it. We go to 0, we hit the tab key, and there we go to that argument. Okay, so that's that code we wrote.
That's also very nice from a readability perspective, because you're jumping from that 0 parameter or 0 argument, sorry, the 0 placeholder to the first argument there, and it shows the whole of the expression that is going to be passed in. So even if it's got sort of it's a method call, it's got commas of its own for its own parameters, you don't sit there thinking only part of this is going to be used. It highlights the whole expression and makes things very much clearer, in the same way that tab to next reference shows all of those references that are on screen at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do this. Let's break apart arguments so that we can see all this on several lines. So now we can come over here. Here's the 0. Hit the tab key. Here we go. There's argument is valid, and then we can run with it. And there you can see it. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, I like it. So let's go over to here. Hold on. Set a breakpoint here again one more time. Hit the tab next reference on this one. Let's actually do a breakapart arguments here as well. Here, notice I have argument 0, 1, and argument 2, but I have a reference to 3. I'm going to hit the tab key, and argument is null. So we won't add a range for that. Let me get rid of all of this stuff. We don't need this anymore. Get rid of this up here. Now, this to me, I'm much happier with this code now, right? This is some pretty straightforward code with regards to the functionality here, which is this is what adds all the ranges for the tab to next reference. So okay, so run, and so nothing happens there, right? Because it doesn't exist. What would be awesome is if we could add a code issue to show this, right? The other thing I was thinking about
busts itself at runtime, yeah.
Yeah, the other thing I was thinking about is sometimes we get situations where they're out of, the order is incorrect. Like I might have something that says greeting 4 equals, and we say, start with like this. Hello, Rory. Thanks for being in our 20th episode. That. And so I might come in here and I might say, okay, let's extract this, turn that into its own format item. And then I might come in over here and say, let's turn that into its own format item. But now look at the order. I have 1 first and then 0 second.
Yeah.
And for readability, sometimes you look at this and you think, you know what, I really want 1, I want to switch these routes so it goes 1, 2, 3, right?
Yeah.
And so that's another thing that we could do with this.
Sure.
By the way, let's go in one more time here. Let me show you a few more things that I did between yesterday and today. Format item, bring it up. So here's the number. Let's align this right. And so there you can see there's the sample output like that. Let's click OK. I'm writing total space is 14. Click OK. So now you can see there's what we've got right there.
Sure.
Oh, interesting. I wonder if that's legal without anything after the colon. That might not be legal. Let's actually check that to see if it's legal. Let's do this, and let's start a new application, new project. You might want to change that code generation. Oh, you know what? I can tell if it's legal or not by going into the, by just bringing up the dialog and playing with the dialog, because the dialog will tell me if there's a problem.
True, because you got that. I mean, that's what you were saying earlier. You've got the framework's own evaluation of a pattern and its string format, leading you to know exactly what does and doesn't work. So even if you're making it manually yourself, you'll know any problems that crop up.
Right. So let's look at that. Actually, will it show me that or not? No, it doesn't show me because of the. So let's do this. Let's run it. We'll set a breakpoint here. We'll call this 42.123, name, Larry, age, 35. There we go. All right, so we'll run it. What you like? String, float. Oh, okay. Change this to double. See if that's a problem. Okay, so this is working without just as is. So now let's go in and we will do it like this. Index must be greater than or equal to. So here's the problem that we want just to create a code issue for right here. This number 3 right there. So let's do. So that's the code issue we just saw that. So that index problem is there. Let's go in and answer the other problem first. We come in. We say let's go format the item. Set it to right by like 14, click OK, and I'm going to run it and see what happens here. Just make sure that code is all happy. It doesn't get a F10. Yeah, it works. Okay, and there you go. You can see there it says your age is. You can see how the 35 is over to the right by 14 spaces. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that part is good. So the thing I wanted to show you is when we back in here and we come in and we say let's format the item, what we actually do is we parse that alignment and set these values so it's still the same, right 14. Right? The format string is also parsed in as well. So if you were to create a custom one, like say we want to have 3 leading zeros, 3 decimal spaces, maybe 4, and 4 trailing zeros, then we can do that. Let's change this to a real instead. Actually, we shouldn't change it to real because it is an integer type. What should I do on that? Let's go to a different one. Where's the score? The score is the one that is the real, I think. Nope, it says it's integer 2. Is that right? Is it because I changed it? Oh, I changed it there. This one is okay though. That one is going to be double. All right, so let's bring that up. Bring up the dialog, And we'll go and we'll make this custom like I suggested, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Over here like this, and you can see what the output is on that trailing zeros and force it. Let's make it 4. There we go. So there's some trailing zeros and not. There you see it. And we don't have to have any leading zeros. All right, click OK. All right, so now there's our format string right there. And then now we can come back in again and bring it back up. And it should parse everything. So now it says write 14, and there's the dots. Nice. 0, 0. So it's all there, so now you can come in. Well, the only thing it's not doing, I'm realizing, is it's not coming down and changing these. So that's maybe a little bit of homework that needs to be done. But I don't want to do that now. let's look at what it would take. Do you want to do that that code issue, or should we just kind of say, okay, this is the end of show and tell, I'll put source up right now, and maybe we'll talk about doing the code issue next week. What do you think?
I don't mind. Whichever way you want to do it, really. I'm sort of kind of blown away by the dialogue as it is. I mean, that's like a perfect parallel with the color dialogue that we've already got.
It's pretty close, right?
The utility that we're going to get out of that is great.
The other thing that I didn't show this yesterday, but it's really interesting. Take a look at this. If you come in, let's say you have an integer type coming in like this. This is your data, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can do things like this. Whoops, not star. I mean pound, hash, hash, hash. See that?
Yeah.
So you can create your own custom format string using this, and to kind of see what that's going to look like. So I just created the format of a phone number in the United States, for example. So we could come in here. We could say like plus star like that. Whoops, plus hash, I mean, space. Oh, interesting. So the hash didn't come in here. It's interesting that it didn't use that. So anyway, you can do that. I'm not sure why I didn't use that. That's interesting. That looks like a string.format issue to me, because we're just simply calling string.format there. So that worked. I wonder if I did notice there was an error or something that we got, a message. It said it was, let's do this, instead of a string, are we going to not get numbers in here if we set type string? Yeah, it doesn't look at it that way. So yeah, integer, this number one only works with integer, which makes sense, because what's happening in the background is it's actually calling the toString on it and passing in whatever you put here to the toString for that type. So you could create your own custom types, and it would be selected over here in other, for example. And although you wouldn't see it here in this dialog, it would work, right? You can pass it your own custom format strings, and use that in your custom toString. So, all right. So here's what I think we're going to do. Let's do this. Let's maybe just do the quick start on what it would be like to do it, and we'll go like no more than like say 20 minutes, and see if we can create something in 20 minutes. If we can't, then you'll just at least know where I'm headed, and then we will stop debugging and get out of here. We'll come back over here, and we will take this to the next step. So plug in one, bring up the toolbox, and we want to drag an issue provider on. So we've done this before. Provider name, this is going to be FormatItem check, I guess. And the display name, FormatItem, maybe we should say FormatItem index too large. That's what we should say. Let's do that. Format item index, we'll say the format item index must be less than the number of arguments passed into a string.format call. That's the essence of it.
Yeah.
Call it IP format item index too large. Come over here, check code issues. And so let's see, what do we want? I'm
thinking we're going to have most of the pieces already in play.
Yeah, you're right. I'm just I'm refreshing my memory on what the pieces are that we need for the code issues. Hold on just a second. Let me see if I can get my. I think we do. Well, let's see. I think it's in event args is where we start, and it is get enumerable, and it takes. We want to create a. We want to pass in a filter, so we're going to get enumerable on the scope, and we're going to pass in a filter new. Let's call it element filter. Element type filter. There it is. That's what I want. And we can pass in a language element type dot primitive expression. Okay, so that's going to get us an enumerable back for primitive expression pieces. And then we're going to say element as primitive expression, like that. Not null. Then should we rehydrate this and pass it in, or should we change our other pieces around? So I guess, well, at the very least, we need to check to see if the primitive type equals primitive type dot string.
Yeah.
So if it's equal to string, then we're in pretty good shape. Next, we need to check to see if we're actually in a let's see, if we're in a method call. So I think what's that method we have? In string. I thought it was in string.format call. In first argument, that's what we have. Oh, an in string format call. But that's a method expression. It is asking for that. In first string argument. Yeah, so we've got a lot of assumptions here right now that we're using on the essentially the hydrated pieces versus the light element pieces. I think what I'm going to do for this is I think I'm going to hydrate it is what I'm going to do. So it's language element restore convert to language element, and let's do that as primitive expression. And the reason why is I'm okay only finding these issues, at least for now, inside of the active file. Actually, I think this may work in other files as well. It just won't work in reference pieces where we don't have source code. So I think we're going to be okay with this. I think this is going to work.
Mark, the language element restorer, we talked in a few episodes back about how in the active file there will already be a language element representative of something that's open in the current file. Does that mean that this is effectively stored in a dictionary? So when you call restore, it won't actually have to build that item because it'll just refresh it from the dictionary?
Yeah, that's exactly the case. It's just going to find it and get it to you. But I think
there's three cases. There's the case where we already have it. There's the case where we don't have it and we have to go off and build it. And there's a case where we don't need it in the first place and we'll stick with our primitive variation.
Right. So okay. So now we've got a real primitive expression, and at this point I want to call, what is it? Get format items. Well, maybe I don't want to do this yet. Get format items. I eventually want to. Let's just see what this is doing. Get format items. It's not really doing any checks at all to see if we're inside of it. Let's see where we're using this elsewhere.
So at the moment we've got an StringFormat method call we could make, which later on we said perhaps we wanted to expand to do things like string builder, append format, and things like that.
Right.
So we could check we're in the right kind of call using that, making the assumption of string.format, and if that turns out to be the case, then it's worth getting some format items.
Yeah. So let's see. So here, do we have, I wonder what we have here with regards to position, if we have anything that is asking about, I don't think we do. So in first string argument, yeah, the in first string argument, this doesn't work because we're passing in a caret and an offset position to it. Let's just see if there is
We don't
anything
have a
else.
caret as such for code issues because we're not moving
In the
around
string
ourselves.
format call, yeah, so this is really, I think, what we're looking at. That's what we want, is we don't want the code I just put in, we want this. So that bit, and if we're in a string format call, then we go to the next level. We come down in here, and we're going to get format items on that.
That's good.
Then, what?
That's good. No, like that.
And then we want to do for each, I think I want to change this. For each format item and format items.values, do, this is going to be our ID number. And what we need also is we need format items dot, what is it called? There's something at the top here.
Positions.
Wait, hold on, did I get that right? Yeah. Format items dot, it's, oh wait. That's right.
For
So
an
format
individual
items
item, we need positions. Is that where you...
parent, no, I wanted this.
Oh, I
I
see.
wanted parent method
see,
call dot argument count. Arguments count is what I wanted. So, expression parent.
Gotcha.
Oh, you know what? I can use, oh no, wait, I can't. I was going to say I could use this here, but I don't have format items yet, and it's better to do it here because it's going to be faster to do this than it is to do this call.
Yeah.
Because this call is going to take longer. That get format items call is going to take longer. So
the argument count that you've got there, that's going to include the initial string itself, as well as the one. So the tokenized string followed by the. So if we have passing in curly braces 0 and curly braces 1, and it's a correctly designed statement, that'll actually have 3 arguments: the string itself and each of those 2 items going in. But our code issue is going to test, for example, if you're looking for curly braces 2, where that is the case.
Yes. So what we need to do now is we're getting the total argument count, and then so we're going to say this. We're going to say argument index equals format item.id plus 1. So this is going to be the index into it, and then we're going to say if argument index is greater than
Argument
count.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it was greater than or equal to argument count. Then we're pointing to something outside of the range, and now this is where we want to add an issue. So it's going to be ea.addWarning. Okay. The source range is going to be format item dot positions. We have to go through all its positions and add one for each of its positions because they're all wrong, I think.
Yep.
So here we go. All right, so let's see, back to ea.addWarning, and it's going to be, the range is going to be in position dot, what do I have? Get source range. It needs to know what line number we're on. So this is that sweet thing about putting all that stuff in there. Before we used to create, we needed the string offset. That's what we needed last time. Now we don't need that anymore. So we just need the line number. The line number is going to be in, what is it? It's going to be in the format item dot primitive expression dot range dot start dot line. That's where that's the start of the string. So introduce local in there. This is going to be the let's call this line, and I can put this up here. Actually, I want to, just for efficiency's sake, let's add block delimiters there, put this here. Sorry, Visual Studio does this when I'm missing a semicolon and I do a refactoring or something like that. It really doesn't reformat well. So let's go fix that. All right. So the line is there. So get source range is there. That's the first piece. The second thing is the message, and we'll say, I think we already, I'll just use the piece I've already said here. This dot display name. And that's the warning I'm adding. And I think that's it.
Yeah.
So that wasn't too bad. Let's run it. Does anybody ever get scared when I say let's run it? It's like, does it really seem like we're done?
I think it's testament to all of the work that was done last night, and obviously your refactoring of it today.
Well, plus DX4 too, right?
Well, absolutely. But it's interesting. This has given a little insight as to how some parts of the DX4 are built, because this is the first time we've really had to do any kind of parsing of our own. Okay.
That is true.
So it gives a bit of insight into the kind of effort that's been put into that.
But I will say
once
that
it's
we
in
wrote
play, it's very easy to use.
So I will say that we wrote that. Oh, look at this. It's already showing up. It's right there. Format item index too large.
Nice.
And there we go.
So I've got one tiny issue there then. I'm curious, is it only a warning we should be offering? Because that's going to crash.
Yeah, let's change it to an error. You're right. Let's change it to an error, absolutely.
But to be honest, if that's the biggest problem I've got with this, then
no, that's brilliant. That's why you're here, Rory, because you're brilliant and it's awesome. So I just put a breakpoint there. It's not going to call it again unless I make a change to the code. So let's add a space. We'll come back over here, and now we should see there it is coming in. We're going to call this to add error, change that to add error, and we're going to ship. I love it when this happens, when we think we're done way earlier than we thought, and I'm saying, okay, let's ship. There it is. It's now red, and it's a warning. Format item index too large. And the only thing that I'm thinking, though, is that there's one other small thing I want to change to this, and that all the other issues are just regular normal case, the sentence case, and what we just created was like a title case thing. So I want to keep it to be consistent, so I'm going to just change that, the case of these letters. And then that's it. Well, I'll shut this down, we'll make that change, and we'll ship this plugin. I think it's pretty good. It's pretty good first try, and not bad for total about like 2.5 hours worth of work, I think. So
that's good.
All right. Any questions from the folks out there who are watching in TV land?
No questions, although there's an interesting comment by one of our other plugin developers. He's got a plugin. Earlier on, we deliberately knocked up a console app so that we could try to demonstrate this. He's suggesting he's got a plugin that will treat almost any method as a test and allow you to run it in place. So we might look to give a demonstration of that at some point. This
is a demonstration of this other plugin. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, this is one of the community plugins, and if I understand
cool.
this correctly, it's effectively so you know how you can run a test, and you will just see what goes on. This will let you run any method, regardless of whether it has test attributes. So nice. It'll run it sort of in its own mechanism.
Nice, I like that. Yeah, that's cool.
It's just an
that's
idea.
Cool stuff. Okay, so with that said, I think I'm going to call this. This is almost a shipping state. The only thing that we're not doing that I'm just not going to do now live is we're not setting for custom strings. We're not setting those. Let me clarify. For custom format strings that we're setting for integers, we're not parsing that and setting the values of the controls appropriately.
Sure.
That would be a nice additional step. We're not doing that, but everything else. I'm sorry, what?
The other suggested piece that you mentioned earlier, I don't know if it's the sort of thing that even could be done in the time, is the reordering of the parameters based on the numbers being out of sequence.
Right. Yeah, we could create a code issue that says it's out of order and then create a fix. We could do that, but I think that's going to take like about 20 to 30 minutes, and I'm just thinking, you know what, I think everybody has a sense of how to do that, and maybe we'll do that later, or leave that as an exercise for somebody who wants to modify this community plugin and submit different, updated source. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, Amanda, or before I go to Amanda, Rory, any other questions or suggestions from folks out there?
Nothing I can see.
All right, I just want to thank everybody who's out there and watching this stuff, and I also want to acknowledge the conversation between my wife and Rory. This is happening via Twitter while this is happening, and we'll say thanks. And Amanda, you are out of here. My wife came in. She goes, "You're so lucky. I didn't make a lot of noise when you came in." Rory's like, "Thank you, man." So.
Wow.
Anyway.
All right.
Rory's saving me left and right. Do you notice that, Amanda? Not only in the webinar, but outside in my personal life as well.
Mm-hmm. Rory's amazing.
He often will send letters. What Mark meant to say was this, Karen.
Rory Becker, saving marriages.
Left and right. Thank you, Rory.
Hilarious. Awesome. Thank you both. All right, everybody. So we have a whole lineup of webinars that are posted throughout September. Check them out and register at devexpress.com/webinars. Obviously, coming up next week, we have our CodeRush feature workshop next Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then also Wednesday, July 20th at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Visual Studio 2010 Scrum 1.0. So that's what's coming up next week. And again, if you missed anything from this webinar, you want to review any of our previous webinars, visit us on the DevExpress channel at tv.devexpress.com. Again, thanks to Mark and Rory. Thank you all for joining us. And thanks for choosing DevExpress.